Hi, so welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about using a graph to get information about the function, okay? So you can see here we have this g of x function that's given to us in the graph. And this first set of exercises, they're asking us to find g of -1, g of 2, and g of 6. Now remember that these are input values of the function. So you want to go to where you see that -1 input, find your function, which will be up here, and then think about that point that's happening there, which is -1, 4. And then what we're going to use is this output value here as our answer. So this is going to be equal to 4. So what you're saying is when I have an input of -1, I have an output of 4. All right. So let's just go through these, okay, and get these answers here real quick. So when I have an input value of 2, I have an output value of 2. So that's my answer there is 2. Okay, and when I have an input value of 6, I have an output value of 4. Okay, so those are my output values for those given input values. Okay, let's get some of this off the graph here and keep going. So it's saying find the domain and find the range. Okay, now your domain is going to be, remember, all of the input values, in this case x values, that are used to generate the graph. My first x value on the left side that's being used is -1. And I'm using all of these x values all the way over to 7, okay, to generate that graph. So I'm going to write my domain is -1 to 7. Now I have a closed circle on this end and a closed circle on this end, which allows me to put brackets on both the -1 and the 7. Okay, now let's talk about the range. All right, my range is going to be all of the y values that are used to generate this graph. My lowest y value is -1, which is this point over here, right? So -1, I use all of the y values all the way up to 12, okay? Now I have a closed circle here, which is going to allow me to do a bracket. Let's go ahead and put these in. -1, 12, and I can put a bracket on that 12. Most people are okay with that. This is the one where I get a lot of questions here. Do I put a bracket or a parenthesis on that -1? Well, this point is the point for -1. That is an actual point on the graph, okay? We know -1 is used for sure on that graph, and that allows us to put a -1 on that. A bracket on that -1 there, okay? Sometimes it is kind of tricky to figure out the parentheses and the brackets. The more you do it, the better you get. And so just keep practicing. All right, so this one here, I accidentally erased some of it. It said find the values of x for which g of x equals 4. All right, so that's an output value of 4. So I'm going to come over here, think of my output values, and then I'm going to go across the graph. Just think of going across the graph where I always have that output value of 4. So think of that horizontal line, y equals 4. And I hit the graph in 3 places. All right, I hit the graph here where I have an x value of -1. So I can say that happens at an x value of -1. I have that happen here, which is an x value of +1. And again here, which is an x value of 6. All right, so I actually have 3 input values that give me an output value of 4. All right, now this next one here is saying find the values of x for which g of x is greater than 4. So we are going to think about that horizontal line going across at 4 like we did in the last problem. But now we need to think about where am I above that line, okay, greater than that. So that's going to be this little section of the graph here and this little section of the graph here. Okay, and you also want to think about open circles right there on the actual line because we are just greater than 4. We are above the line. So we're not actually on the line. We're just trying to figure out where am I above the line. Okay, so I'm going to use parentheses in my intervals. I am above the line. Okay, and then you use your x values here, which is a little tricky. I'm above the line using these x values of -1 to 1 and put parentheses on those, like I said, because we are thinking above the line. And union, I'm above the line, okay, starting at this x value of 6. And I'm going to go all the way to this x value of 7 using this section here. I'm actually going to put a bracket on the 7 though, which I know is a little funny, but the graph you see is ending there on that point. That's the point 6, sorry, not 6, 7, 12. Okay, and since you can see that closed circle there and the graph is ending there, I can use a bracket on that 7. Okay, we have to use parentheses on all of these spots that are right at the line. Okay, but it is okay to use a bracket there for that 7. Like I said, the brackets and parentheses take a little bit of practice, so just keep working on it until you feel comfortable with it. Okay, the net change, okay, the net change between 0 and 6. Net change is a lot like doing slope, okay, just as a quick reminder. When you find the slope between 2 points, you do y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And when we look at net change, we actually are just doing the top part of our slope formula. So what we're going to do is go to our function and we're going to find this x value of 0. Go to the function, so that will be 0, 5, okay? And then go to the function for an x value of 6. Right, so that's the point 6, 4, okay? Because those are the input values they gave us to work with. And we're going to just subtract those output values. I'm going to do the second output minus the first output. So once again, I'm just doing the top part of the slope formula. Whoops, sorry, I wrote slope because I said slope. Net change is going to be your output value of 4 minus your output value of 5, which is going to be a -1. Okay, so you know what happened with the function is from there it went down, but then it also went back up some. So really what happened is it only between here and there it only dropped 1 unit, if you can kind of think about it that way. And that's what that -1 means. All right, so you're just like I said, second output minus first output, and you will have that net change. Okay, so I will see you guys in the next video.